Welcome, welcome, fellow spiritual psychics and travelers on the spiritual psychic path. It's Psychic Cynthia here, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian, and welcome again. I want to dive in today with you about you and your own spiritual psychic path, your own psychic gifts. Because I'm pretty sure that if you're following me or watching this channel or somehow have found yourself here, there is a strong chance that you have some of the psychic leaning yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean you want to develop it or go further with it. And I get that. Sometimes it's just enough to know. But I really want to speak today to those of you who sometimes feel the stirring. You feel as if you'd like to go a little bit further with your gifts, or maybe have more of a handle on it, more of an understanding. And there can be blocks to that. And I might address one or two of those today. There could be so many different obstacles, I know. But if I can even open the gateway for you just a tiny bit today in this video, that will be great. Okay. And one of the blocks that sometimes comes up is, I hear this from a lot of people, just a lot of people who are part of my psychic tribe, as I call it, people who reach out to me, who connect with me on social media or, even in physical life. And what I hear is from them, and these are naturally psychic people. I would say that these are naturally intuitive, empathic, psychic people. Maybe they don't read for other people. I'm not saying that, but you know who you are. If you have a little bit of that, a little bit of touch of the gift yourself. And for example, they'll say to me, I get gut feelings, I get instincts, I get a feeling that this is a flash of insight, that this is correct, or I need to do this, or this is right. I get signs, but then they say, but then, there's always a but then, and they'll even say these signs usually end up well for them, or the instincts often end up well. Maybe not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time. Okay, so there's something really good and positive happening here with these inner gifts. But then they'll say to me, but then I start to doubt. They'll say, then I start to say, well, to rationalize. They'll start to say, well, oh, maybe I just got that information some other way, or maybe it's just luck or coincidence. And then they start to doubt that they're psychic or intuitive or empathic, whatever term you wish to use here. That's a video for a different time. And I don't find that we need to be confined by terms. So as long as we understand that we're talking about accessing these inner beautiful gifts. So yeah, they'll just start to doubt that there's anything going on at all. They'll rationalize it away. Have you ever done that? I've actually done it. Okay, like even after being on this path so long, just rarely, I'm going to say, but occasionally, I know that I'm psychic, okay, but occasionally I'll have an insight or a flash, and then I'll think, is this coming from my guides or my inner self? And I'll be like, oh, that's just, my mind, my intellect or whatever. And granted, it's possible that it could be some of the time, okay? I'm enough of a realist to acknowledge that here. And, what I would say on that is there's a fine line between, the parts of the mind. I mean, we really can't separate it out as much as we like to. We like to say, left hemisphere and right hemisphere. And of course, physiologically, you can separate the brain that way. But these messages, these signs, these gifts, they don't come purely from the brain. I don't know that they come from the brain at all. They come through the brain. The messages are relayed to you through your brain. Okay, hear what I'm saying here. Through the brain, through that organ, perhaps, as well as other organs, including the entire body. Your body is your main tool for receiving communications from your inner psychic, from your spirit guides, from your angels, from your ancestors. There's a writer-downer if you're watching this video. Heck, I could do a video on that. But yeah, don't forget your entire body is alive with energy. It's a receiver, and it's also a sender. It's giving you signs and messages. But it's not the main receiver, and it's certainly not the main transmitter. There's something else, you know, what we might call the higher mind. And really, I often call this part that gives us psychic data, I refer to it as the inner psychic. I believe it's a dimension of the self, of the eternal soul. But however you want to conceptualize it, whatever words you want to use, there is something happening here. Really, okay, if you're logical, if you're actually a logical, rational person, you know, if you started to write down all the incidences you had of receiving messages and signs, at least if you're like most of the people that reach out to me, you know, maybe you're not, okay, maybe you're a rare bird. Actually, I think most of the people that are part of this tribe are rare birds. You know, they're not like the mainstream. We're listening, we're opening. So if you're listening and opening, and you really just start to pay attention and notice the information you're getting, the signs and the guidance, and you start to notice how often it's right for you, how helpful it is. If you're actually logical and rational about it, I think most of the time you could not have known those things, like just on your own intellect, your own intelligence, that there's something, you know, operating out there, or in there, as I like to say. So yeah, maybe it would be a good idea to quit irrationally rationalizing away your own psychic gifts and give yourself a little credit where it's due. Give your inner psychic a little credit where it's due. That will help a lot. It will just help make your life easier, okay? But it will also help in terms of if you want to awaken these natural gifts that you have more. Because if you're constantly arguing with this part of yourself, or if you're constantly trivializing it, rationalizing it away, that's not a good relationship, okay? And so much about psychic development is an awakening. It's about developing a relationship with your higher faculties, your higher self, your inner psychic, your awakened soul, the awakened mind. Again, whatever terms you want to use. And so you have to learn how to be on better terms with that part of yourself, to be more at ease with it. And part of that, a huge part, is simply giving it the acknowledgement that it deserves with your thoughts and with your words, not trivializing it. And listen, it's okay if you get, you know, an intuitive insight, or something you think might be an intuitive insight, or, you know, a feeling or a nudge, and you're not sure if it is. That's okay. I'm not saying you have to be blind about this. I'm just saying where it appears strongly to be an accurate intuitive impulse, you want to honor that. You want to honor that with your words, and trust. I mean, isn't that what we're talking about here? I think, you know, from studying history, I think that we have been really taught in more recent years, okay, I don't mean just like our lifetime or even a couple hundred years back, but I mean, really, you might say with the takeover of monotheism, it could have started before then. I think that, you know, certain powers, certain organizations, I mean, I don't know which ones. I'm just saying, it's not specific organizations, okay, but, you know, just larger structures in the world, I think that they find it to their benefit. They have historically, okay, going back, it's to their benefit for the rest of us to not believe that we're psychic, to not believe that we have access to direct intuition, to a pipeline of wisdom. I mean, can you see what I'm saying here? How people who are naturally psychic, to whatever extent, who people like you who understand that you can turn within to your intuition, that you don't always need to be looking to an external source to get information or to figure out what's right for you, what the next step is, what direction to go to. Um, if there were more and more people like you, I mean, that could be threatening to certain entrenched power structures. So, yes, we're not potentially. I'm not saying you are a threat. I'm just saying it could be viewed as threatening, just like free thinkers are viewed as threatening. I mean, how much more powerful is a person who understands how to get their own guidance, how to connect with source energy, and how to really, utilize your inner wisdom and receive those intuitive psychic flashes for yourself, your family, and possibly your friends and other loved ones. That is very freeing for the individual. So, and I want that for all of you, actually. But I'm just saying that there are stories that we have been told, that we're not psychic. And I believe this is part of why we have been told that. So, yeah, don't do that to yourself. Don't take away your own power, your own splendor. When these messages come through, just take the time to acknowledge it. And if you're going to choose to rationalize it away, if you're going to choose to not acknowledge it, just realize what you're doing to yourself. I think that could be a good first step. Realize that you are minimalizing yourself and possibly diminishing some of your natural potential. And you don't have to get mad at yourself for this, and you don't have to, be all judgy or blamey, but just realize, that you're limiting yourself when you do that. You might even be harming yourself. And you might want to ask yourself, if you're in this pattern, I mean, where did you learn to do that from? My guess is, my educated guess, is that you probably learned to do that from somebody in your life who doubted you early on, who didn't believe in you. But you know what? You don't have to channel their inner voice. You can find your own, and you can treat yourself better than that. And you can treat your inner psychic better than that. And you can develop a wonderful, splendid, loving, heart-centered relationship with your inner psychic. And you can start to listen. That's all. Just listen. And let it lead you and let it guide you. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. It's really just more of a discussion on opening your heart to your inner psychic. And I certainly would love to hear about your journey with that and how that's going. So feel free to comment below. Until next time, I'm sending you all much love and bright blessings.